Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the amazing Rob McGee. Rob, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. A little bit about Rob for those of you that don't know. He is the host of XploitationRR, Reviews and Rob. It's a YouTube channel that was devoted to the exploitation cinema, which includes horror. As long as it's horror that includes lots of blood, boobs, or bloody boobs. I mean, let's mix them together. I mean, why not, you know? He also regularly writes reviews for one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite websites, the Grindhouse Cinema Database. His non-movie related writing has appeared in comedy magazines such as The American Bystander and Sandwiches and Psych Meds and various literacy magazines of varying quality. Now, I do want to talk about the YouTube channel first.
Okay.
Exploitation R&R. What got you started and pushed you to want to actually start the channel?
Well, I guess, I'd watch YouTube review channels like Bloodbath and Beyond, which now is Bloodbath TV, or like the Horror Geeks channel. And, I thought, well, I like what they're doing, but there are other movies out there that people should talk about, other kinds of exploitation films beyond slashers and zombie films. So let's make a channel to talk about sexploitation films, blaxploitation films. There's lots of things that appeal to us, horror people beyond horror.
Right. And it's amazing you say that because like Bloodbath and Beyond, Bloodbath TV, like they are such amazing content creators. And to know that they're part of the reason that got you into doing this is super amazing to me because I love those guys to death. Jay is such an amazing guy. Yeah. And now also with your writing, how long have you been writing for?
My whole life. I think I started writing short stories when I was maybe like 11 or 12. Yeah. And then when I was around 12, one of my short stories won like some stupid local contest. And then, so it's never been too far away from one of the things I do.
Yeah, but that stupid little contest at 12 probably blew your mind and made you think you were the next king, man. Like it's amazing how these little things for us when we look back on them now, how big and how much they meant to us as kids is still so incredible, man.
Right. Yeah, I mostly at the time I was a little bitter because I wanted to win, but I didn't. And the winner was, my age, I'm a 12-year-old kid who had written a full-length fantasy novel, like 75, like 80,000 word fantasy novel. And then obviously she wins. I mean, what 12-year-old can do that?
Right.
I was like, come on,
That's awesome, man. And it's amazing because a lot of people, oh, well, you got to grow up and act your age. You were 11 years old. You knew exactly what you wanted in your life. Like that to me it's super cool, man, that you followed that dream all the way from being a kid. And that's incredible to me. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud of you because a lot of people lose that spark. They get that little bit of rejection. And rather than having it push them to want to do better, it shuts them down. So if you're watching this, you've ever ran into that brick wall, keep running. There's, maybe 100 years on this planet. Don't give up on anything. If you're lucky, you get 100 years. So in that time, do what you want to do the best that you can possibly do, and always strive for better, never settle. So you're doing that.
Sure. And if you want to be a writer, and if you want to be a writer, rejection is part of the game. I mean, I don't know how many stories and things I've had published over the years, but that's a very small number to the number of rejection letters I've gotten over the years.
Right. Well, and that's another big thing about it is everybody faces rejection. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
When John Carpenter was pitching Halloween, nobody bought it until he showed him the score. I mean, that shows, and that's Halloween. So I mean,
exactly.
You're gonna handle rejection. You're good. It's gonna happen. But the best part is how you deal with it. Let that one rejection turn into a yes, and then that yes is gonna feel so much better because you fixed what was wrong, and you still sold it to somebody. So
for sure,
it's never easy, but the yeses definitely are so much better than how bad the no's are. So now becoming a writer and I know how hard YouTube is as well. How do you manage all the time of being a content creator and a writer?
Well, I don't work much because I'm a teacher. So that frees up lots of free time.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that's, yeah, I mean, I have the free time because my, normal day job is not overly demanding as far as time constraints are concerned. If I had, some 40 or 50-hour normal job, then yeah, that would be much harder. But as it is, especially in the pandemic, working from home, grading papers, well, I can take a break from grading papers to jot down some ideas or, take some notes on the movie I watched last night or something like that. So it's not
Sure.
super hard just because of my real job. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's still incredible, because like I said, you're helping to shape the youth, but you're also doing something to help shape us old people that still like to read the magazines. So
That's right.
we know, Rob, what you got going on in the future and what you got going on now. And before we get into this, I do want to remind everybody, I have all of Rob's social media links and YouTube link down here in the description. So make sure you're giving him a follow. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel so you can check it out. Promise you won't regret it. Now, Rob, we know that horror has to start for us all somewhere. So now, my friend, I want to go back to the past and I want to talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Rob, the first horror movie that you watched was?
I don't know, but I do know the first two that made it difficult to sleep. And I don't know which one came first, but one of them was definitely Todd Browning's Freaks, which is from like 1932, I think. Yeah, that I watched that way too young, way too young.
The impact that movie still has today is incredible.
Yeah.
You and I were talking before, but people that are fans of American Horror Story, Pepper completely was pretty much stolen. Yeah, you could say the inspiration from Pepper, but it's totally from Freaks. And
it's okay to steal. Yeah.
Right. But it's one of those things where this movie still to this day is giving that inspiration to people. So do you remember about how old you were the first time you had seen Freaks?
Man, I must have been maybe like 7 or 8. So when I was a kid in Ohio in the early 80s, one of the local TV channels would play horror films, I think on Saturday nights or something. And they were normally like classic, the Universal classics, which, even as a 6 or 7-year-old kid, they're still fun enough and they're not overly scary. Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon. And my mom would let me stay up and watch them if it was a Saturday because, there's no school on Sunday. But then one night they played Freaks and I should not have stayed up to watch it on that night because when Freaks, what was it? It's like it's not a train, it's like a caravan with like horse-drawn carriages or whatever. And it's raining. And I think maybe one of the carriages turns over or something. And then the freaks are like crawling through the mud, chasing after, what's her name? Is it Cassandra or Cleopatra? I don't remember the character's name. But yeah, just the image of, I think it was like the human torso, he was called, like with a knife in his hand, just crawling through the mud without arms or legs. And it was real. I mean, that's not special effects. This guy didn't have arms or legs. But
I was
he did
just going to say, a big part of this movie is they use people with real disadvantages. And I hate saying disadvantages because it sounds so fucked up, but
they used like physically disabled people, mentally disabled people.
And which, and that caught a lot of criticism back then for them doing that. But
I think it ruined Todd Browning's career.
Yeah. But I mean, you got, the big scene that I think everybody knows.
Google gobble. One of us. One of us. Google gobble.
I don't think that there's a scarier thought than, trying to physically deform somebody else or trying to be on the end of them physically deforming you to make you one of them. And,
right.
I could see where having a disability, I would be totally insulted watching this. Like, wow, I'm not a freak. You named the movie Freaks, and like, so I could see both sides of the coin here. But man, it's one of those things where it's just, you feel when you watch this movie, you feel fear, you feel anxiety, you feel pity. Do you remember what your favorite scene from Freaks is?
So I mean, back then, no, I just remember being terrified. But I have watched it in the intervening years, and I do like it. I haven't seen it in a couple of years now, but I watched it, yeah, maybe like 5 or 10 years ago, and I liked it for totally different reasons, not for horror reasons, but just because I found the film to be really sad and poignant. The way they're treated by the, like the normal people, and I don't think there was really like super specific script for the film. A lot of it was sort of like, real reactions and stuff. And that's, yeah, it's really sad. And it gets to you. And it gets to you now as an adult in ways that it did not get to me as a child. Because, now it's not scary, it's just sad. And it's an effective, sad film.
And I think that the older we get, obviously, we become more empathetic. Some of us, at least. So
Yeah.
having that empathy for other people, and you watch this film, and you can make the argument that they are not the freaks, that they are, that they are the normal ones when you're watching the film. So now a big thing about horror right now is the requel, the remake, the sequel. Is Todd Browning's Freaks a movie that you would like to see remade today?
Oh, I mean, I know it's sort of cliche to say, but with that one, I don't think we could remake that one today.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it would work. People would see it as exploitative in the wrong ways, and no studio exec is going to give money for someone to go searching for freaks to put in a film and exploit them in that way. I don't think it would never happen.
And the good part about that is we're not doing exploitation for the wrong reasons now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The exploitation films that I cover in my channel, they're not exploiting the actors. They're exploiting an audience. They're going after a particular audience by offering them things that they don't get from like mainstream films, like more blood.
Is a huge difference.
Yeah, huge difference.
Difference. Yes. And like I said, I don't want to see I mean, I have autism in my family. So when I see stuff with people with physical or mental disabilities and being labeled as a freak, it really does kind of bum me out in the worst type of way. So, man, we talked about, Rob, your first horror movie, or at least the first one we can remember.
The first one I remember. Yeah. There was another one around the same time I also remember, but yeah, the Freaks is, that's probably the first one. Yeah.
Right. Well, I want to kind of throw you a little bit of a curveball here for a second. My little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Rob? What is your favorite horror movie?
That's really hard to say. I mean, I cover a lot of sort of harder to find or rarer things on my channel, but I think my favorites are the same as everyone. The classics are classic for a reason. When I think about horror films that I never get tired of, they're Jaws, Dawn of the Dead, The Thing, Black Christmas. I mean, yeah, the same ones that everyone loves, we love them because they're great. Yeah.
Right. See, and that to me is one of the hardest questions to answer. I mean, my number one always will be House from 1986. I think that's a wonderful film. My number one, just because that was my first, and without House, this wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for House. So
that was with George Wendt, right? Yeah.
Yep, George Wendt, William Catt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. The American Hero. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, love that film.
Yeah, it's cool.
So we are coming up to the end, guys. We are at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before it does, there are some links down here that need your attention. Like I said, I have the social media links down here. I have the YouTube link. So make sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel so you can check this out, especially if exploitation films are your thing. And like we talked about earlier with Rob, he's classy with his exploitation knowledge. He's not going to be exploiting for the wrong reasons like we have seen. He's one of these people that is exploiting to the audience, not the actors. So it's something I'm very proud to call him a friend. I'm very proud to call him a fellow content creator and a member of this horror community with me. So make sure you're checking out the links. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube. Now, Rob, before I let you go, we're going to go back to Freaks. And what we're going to do is rank this on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking it on acting, production, score, direction, none of the above. What we're doing here is strictly ranking this movie on how much it affected you on first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Rob, what would your ranking of Freaks be?
Ranking of Freaks as an effective horror film, watched as like a 7-year-old. Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a 4, because I think that's the number of weeks it took me to get back to a normal sleep schedule. But now I love the movie. For today, I think it's a very effective film for lots of reasons. So I'd give it a 5. Modern Rob a 5. 7-year-old a 4.
Right. And man, again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and hang out with us. Like I said, I know you have a very busy schedule, whether it's writing, whether it's teaching, whether it's doing your YouTube. I know it's a very busy and hectic schedule. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with us. And you guys can thank him at his social media links right down here in the description. So Rob, please don't go anywhere, man. I got a couple more questions for you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here.
Dude, literally anytime. I can't wait to work with you again.
Everybody
else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.